I'm paranoid, and I don't know why. Feels like someone's staring at me through my own eyes. When I look in the mirror, I can't linger too long because I'm paranoid. Whoa, stop whispering when you're talking about me. I know just what you're doing, I'm not too blind to see. I've even heard them talking about me on the TV. I guess I'm paranoid. My imagination is playing tricks on me, and I don't know what's really going on. There may be medication to set my mind at ease. This crazy situation has brought me to my knees. I'm paranoid, and I'm not ashamed, even though the radio just repeats my name. And I don't seem to benefit from this kind of fame. My picture perfect life is slipping from the frame. It's serious to me, but to you it's just a game. I know there's nothing wrong with me. I know I'm not insane, but then I'm paranoid.
And where did that come from?
One of many.
No, but I mean, when did you do that?
Oh, 2002, 3, 4,
So you
5.
were where?
In Greenlawn. It was in Greenlawn.
You were without a release date.
I'm just exploring, not so much about the release date, but just exploring my illness, paranoid schizophrenia. It came to me when I went into my bathroom back when I had my own room. Boy, I hadn't thought about having my own room for a long time. It's funny how you're living and how you're forced to survive becomes so ingrained and a part of your life that when you're removed from it, extricated from it, or gone to an improved situation, all of that doesn't leave you, but somehow you don't think of it. But anyways,
So you had your own room.
I had my own room with a bathroom, even better. And I went into the bathroom for a second, and after being medicated and stabilized for many years, and kind of like geared towards getting out, even though there was no release date, but I was just positive and wasn't thinking about being ill, because when you're well, you don't think about being ill. You're well now. Sometimes to your detriment, only in that you forget that you're sick. And which is a big mistake that a lot of people who are mentally ill make after they get stabilized for a year or 2 or 3 or more. It's like all of a sudden, not only am I not sick, I don't need the medication anymore, and that becomes a whole big problem. So I'd forgotten about my being ill, but didn't forget about the medication because I was getting the shots every month rather. But somehow I was coming out of the bathroom, and there's a bathroom mirror, and I just walked out and was about to turn the light off. I caught a glimpse of myself out of the corner of my eye. and it felt like paranoia. It felt, and not that I was symptomatic, but I had an understanding of, or just like a glimpse of the illness, which is just looking in the mirror, and it's someone else looking at you, even though it's you. And that's why I came with the line, paranoid. I don't know why. I feel like someone's staring at me through my own eyes. It's like you recognize yourself, but you're projecting so much, everyone else's hatreds and everyone else's problems that they have with you on you through you. It's like a weird kind of thing that I'm not smart enough to coherently articulate. But I'm just saying, catching that quick glimpse of the corner of my eye of myself was like, wow. And I said to myself, I'm paranoid. Because even though I was very well medicated, there was just like a glimmer, a very millisecond of a glimmer of just looking and seeing myself and being critical of myself and wondering what other people are thinking of me. That's it. Just in a split second, it was just a flash, and it wasn't a symptomatic thing. It was just like just a recognition of my illness. It's like, wow. And I stopped and said, I'm paranoid. And I wrote the song.
So somebody who doesn't know your history, doesn't know who you are, what are your credentials? What is your what makes you someone that they should listen to?
Really, that's not as important as listening to a song that's catchy. One of the things I often do in my music, that I think the prerequisite for all of my music is that it's listenable, almost to a fault. There are some people I know who are big into dissonance or anti-pop music, but I was a child weaned on pop music of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So it's in my DNA. So when I came to the squeezing out process, which I'm doing now, it's coming out sounding like echoes of Beatles and Beach Boys and Burt Bacharach to a degree, and various other great songwriters and creators of music of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. But seen through the lens of mental illness. So first and foremost, it's got to be catchy and listenable, and you want people, why should people listen to you? Because it sounds good. That is the first thing. Lull them in with a catchy song, a catchy melody, and then give them an interesting visual. And then if they want to dig deeper, they'll discover that maybe this guy is worth giving a listen, even more of a listen to, in terms of what he has to say or what he's trying to convey, because I am a psychiatric survivor. I'm a survivor of my treatment. I'm a 20-year survivor of a mental hospital institutionalization, substance abuse issue that led me to schizophrenia, and a terrible, tragic, and traumatic fatality in my life and in my family's life, with the death of my mother at my own hand, accidentally, which led me to be remanded and involuntarily committed to a mental hospital for 20 years. So if those are credentials, then there you go.
First things first, the land was stolen from the native. It gets worse. Imported people to be slaves. Black and white really don't exist. I'll knock you out and seal it with a kiss. Can I tell the future, or am I stuck in the past? Is my head above the clouds or firmly up my ass? All night long I paint and sing and dance with angels. All day long I act as if I'm not insane. I'll get by, even if it's month to month, on SSI. Beaten to the punch, being hated, feared and baited by the sainted right. Doesn't faze me, I may be crazy, but I sleep well at night. Aimless teens and welfare queens and homeless drunken veterans are on the dole, but know their role and play it mighty well in this stage of hell. Mama's gone, and Daddy didn't leave me much except my mind, and we all know that it's been touched. But I'll survive and kick ass when the time is right, on SSI. Till then I'll take it light. I can tell the future and still respect the past, with my head above the clouds and firmly up my ass. I'll get by, even if it's month to month, on SSI. Beaten to the punch. I feel, without patting myself too hard on the back, I feel there's a balance, a very good balance of my personal experience and being empathetic to others who are sufferers, and trying to also even devil's advocate for the psychiatrists and the social workers and the therapists and the treatment aides. You know, they're not all evil people. There are some people who you may wonder from time to time, wow, why are they working here? You know, but at the same time, there are some patients that really give credence to a lot of people's fears about mentally ill people. So that's what I kind of want to touch on in this project. You know, there have been people who have killed their loved ones and cut their heads off and put it in a bucket and walked around the streets with them. I was on the wards with them. It was almost like the thing to do, almost. I was on the ward with like 3 or 4 people who had that in their profile. And they looked down on me as someone who killed their mother. Even though it was an accident, they were, oh man, that's messed up. You did that? That's messed up, you know.
So I was the pariah amongst people who, were Dahmeresque in their approach to their mental illness, or in how it played out for them. I want to give that perspective, as well as the perspective of the perpetrator, what could be going through their mind, if anything, after such a terrible crime. The family members, this community, how they feel about it, how justice needs to be served by some people, in some people's minds, and to a degree I believe that's true. Justice should be served, or something should be done about this type of individual or this type of situation. And then at the same time, I'll also do a song or just have a vignette about what I had the unfortunate experience of running into, which is a doctor, a psychiatrist that is pretty unscrupulous.
I got my baby's head in a 5-gallon drum. Her body lays in bed. We walk around and talk about the things that we've done.
Remember when we'd spend hours picking flowers down in Prospect Park? We used to have so much fun. Shame that it had to be my pretty head in a drum.
We walk around all night to the places we knew. We watch the city lights. I fix her makeup and feed her some Chinese food.
Remember our first kiss under the Brooklyn Bridge? I was 17. My life had just begun. Why does it have to be my pretty head in a drum? My mom will be devastated, probably waited days for me to call. I'll never tell what you've done. Why? 'Cause it's my pretty head in a 5-gallon drum.
I got my baby's head in a 5-gallon drum. Hear every word she says. She's so funny, we laugh at everyone.
I wanna get out of here. I'm so scared, why can't I rest in peace? So talented and so young. Why does it have to be my pretty head in a drum? Why?
I got my baby's head. I got my baby's head. I got my baby's head. She's walking down my street. She's looking kinda sweet. She really caught my eye. She's looking kinda fly. She don't want me, 'cause I'm a nut. I wanna ask her why I'm not her kind of guy. She tells me that her bed ain't no place for meds. She shut me down, I'm in a rut. She's a real beauty, she's a work of art, but she don't want a man with a check and a chart. I see her every day, she's my latest fascination. She don't stick around, I'll have to stick with masturbation. chocolate and expensive clothes. I'm gonna buy a ring, I'm gonna get up the nerve. If she turns me down, then she's gonna get what she deserves. Burying her body out on Rockaway Beach. Why'd she have to be so hard to reach? My alibi, she was a slut. I dream of her, but I'm locked up. She won't forget that I'm a nut.
In these patients' rights music videos, how do you think they're going to be seen by those in authority?
I don't care. Because I know I'm doing the right thing. I know that in the end, it's like taking a chapter out of Nabokov's Lolita, which is, or any book, but let's just use that as an example, which is a classic. You take a certain couple pages out of that, and it's going to seem like pornography. You can do that with any book. Do that with the Bible, and it's going to seem like what Take a chapter out of Leviticus, and it's like got the sacrifices. Like what kind of shit? What is this? So I mean, you take anything out of anything, and it's not going to have the same meaning as you look at it in the whole, and look at it from that perspective. So I'm not going to worry about people who are going to pick something apart and say, look at that. That's not good. That's bad. You're bad because of that. And I don't know about any of that, but that thing right there, I mean, that I've had people pick my art apart for years. Art and music and writing, and take something and beat around the bush with it. I'm not concerned. That's their problem, not my problem. That's their hang-up, not my hang-up. They may try to make it my hang-up, but I was going to say I answer to a higher authority, and that sounds so, you don't want to go there necessarily, but what I'm doing, I firmly believe, is bigger than OMH and bigger than some hospital in Queens, and whether I can born this out is another story, but I think my vision and what I'm planning will be a lot bigger than winding up on the desk of some Nimrod up in Albany, New York, who thinks he's got dominion over somebody's life. But I'm not going to be frightened by anybody who thinks they've got power over anybody. Especially when it comes to art. Because art comments on the culture. Art is necessary. Art is vital. And I'm doing my best to rise to that level of responsibility. In art, people for hundreds of years, better artists than I will ever be, have been excoriated by the church and dragged out and hung and so who were doing the right thing, but ran afoul of a person or people who didn't like what they were doing. So and these were the geniuses, these were the greats. So I'm not really worried.
Do you know me? I'm Evil MD. You're looking frightened, but don't question me. 100 more milligrams will put you in your place, you'll see. Have you any idea how important I am? Of course you are aware I hold your life in my hands. You with your petty concerns, no, you shouldn't conceive. Oh no, believe me when I tell you there are plenty of you to go round. I've got $1 million house and a Jaguar to paint the town. Have you any idea how busy I am, or how little I care? Of course you won't understand, you with your petty concerns. Just take this and behave. Oh no, you're sure to get me angry if you question my methods again. I go golfing every Sunday with a friend of a friend of a friend. Do you know me? I'm Evil MD. You're still looking frightened, please don't question me. 1,000 more milligrams will put you in your place, you'll see. Have you any idea how reckless I am? How close I put you to death? Of course I don't give a damn. You with your petty concerns, yeah, you'll need it for life. Oh no, your Medicaid's not good enough. I wanna be paid in advance. Now you know this doctor's just a thief, and he'll hurt you if he gets the chance. Do you know me? I'm Evil MD. 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 Do you know me? I'm Evil Everybody who comes into that environment fears the evil MD, and most people don't. Some people feel they come across it, but if they step back from the situation and kind of temper their anger or whatever ire they may have, whatever fears they may have, they may realize there's no evil there. But sometimes you may run afoul of the evil MD, who is the arbiter of what's a false belief and what's not. There are people I know, I'm sure plenty of cases of people who came to a hospital and had to be subdued and medicated because they said, oh, they're delusional, they have a false belief. And then they find out it wasn't false, but somebody decided it was, so they medicated them and put them through hardship for a short time before it was realized that they were okay, and then they were let go with a, please don't sue us, have a nice day, So,
one thing I've noticed, and you brought it to me up years ago, that I'm seduced by people who have schizophrenia because they're very articulate and they're smart and they're insightful. Could you talk a little bit about that?
You should talk a little bit about that. Don't ask me to talk a little bit. If you have something to say about it, you should say something about it.
What is it about people who are schizophrenic?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I think that's like saying, what is it about you black people? That's kind of what that sounds like.
Is that what that sounds like?
That's
Maybe I'm not articulating it.
Well, I don't know, but it's just like you're creating an otherness, a separation. And what is it about schizophrenic people that they're so smart and articulate? And That's like saying, what's about you black people? You know, your good rhythm and your big penises and that kinky hair and your musculature and you're so good at sports. And
Yeah, what is it about that?
No, I mean, but it's like saying it's the same thing, and that's kind of one of the barriers I'm trying to break down. You know, and there have been people who've tread a lot of ground trying to break down those barriers amongst the races, and I guess my reason for being at this point is to break down those barriers about people who have mental illness or what's called mental illness. You know?
We wear Velcro sneakers and elastic waist pants. We have stone-faced features and fluttering hands. But if you make the mistake of calling me a nut, you'd better believe I'll kick your butt with Velcro sneakers. We will wear plaid flannel and occasionally drool. But dig this, brother, we're nobody's fool. So if while you're pushing through with someone trips you on the street, you'd better check out what's on his feet. Velcro sneakers. People see us and they laugh or they cry. I will never know why till the day I die. I got something that's very hard to find. It's called peace of mind and it makes me shine. That may contradict your opinion of us, but your opinions are turning to dust. Like they say in the Bible, the first will be the last. Gonna kick your ass with Velcro sneakers. Velcro sneakers. Velcro sneakers.
So we just filmed the first couple of shots of a new video, Endless Anxiety, that I wrote several years ago, whenever it was that you were 2012, when you had moved from your parents' house to Kew Gardens Hills, Queens, with your roommate from hell, and it was just such a bad experience that I kind of was just taking dictations, not just from the gods, but from your mouth, writing the song Endless Anxiety, based on your experience with your hellish roommate. And in creating the look of the roommate for you, I was unconsciously, actually, or is it subconscious? Subconscious? And unconscious. Recreating the horrific face of my mother in the last day or so before her untimely passing, of which I am responsible. Even though I was given a plea of not responsible, I do feel responsible because I did commit the act of taking her life. But however, the last couple of times I saw her, her makeup was smeared and crooked and and her face was hard, her eyes were hard, her lips were tight, and kind of twisted in a grimace, and it wasn't my mother, and I was the mother that I knew, and she never wore makeup for all the time. I could maybe count on one hand, really, on special occasions where she'd go out with my father or with a friend, where she put on a little bit of eye makeup and very little makeup. She otherwise never wore makeup. So for some strange reason, the night before the incident where I kind of lost my mind for good, she was wearing not only just makeup, but a lot of it at like 6:30 in the morning. And it was all caked over and smeared, and it was just like a horrific sight. And she was looking at me with hard eyes, you know.
there's some things when you're schizophrenic and going through a psychotic and going through a mental decompensation that you know you're hallucinating. And there are other things that you do see that you kind of extrapolate on. You know, that's why schizophrenia is such a very insidious and terrible malady, because it's based on things that you're seeing but computing in a different way, as well as things that you're imagining. So she was wearing makeup, but in my imagination or in an extrapolation of which it was just like horrific. She was put upon and maybe angry, maybe because she had to get up at 6 or 6:30 in the morning when last time I saw her. So there was like a hardness in her eyes, or like a tiredness, which then became an evil. So, I mean, it's not like she was the beatific, beautiful mother that I always knew, and I was imagining this look in her face. And there was something that was transforming her, which I then took to the nth degree. And I'll never forget that horrific face, that horrific look in her face that I saw, and then ratcheted up several notches to think that it was evil and that it was coming for me, and I had taken her over, of which I had to kind of save her from. So I kind of feel like, in a way, by recreating this visage, this face, I'm kind of getting over some of the last elements of my illness and decompensation, the initial decompensation I kind of was suppressing or afraid to look at. You don't want to look at the face of the devil any more than the 1 or 2 times that you saw them, especially if it was in the face of your mother. So by taking Susan, my partner in crime and my partner in love and life, and taking her beautiful face and distorting it and transforming it into this horrible, horrible, ugly, hellacious face, I feel like I'm exorcising or raising the dead and exorcising demons in a good way, as opposed to the very horrific way that ended with my mother's death.
The monster's listening. She can hear us as she sleeps. Best not to wake her, or she will take us to places we don't wanna be. Don't wanna bear it, we have to share it. This house will never be a home. 'Cause when she rages outside her cage, I think I'm in the Twilight Zone. Tell me it's not permanent, this temporary hell. I need to text my therapist, but he's sleeping so well. This may be too raw for me, so I'll save it for another day. Endless anxiety, could there be any other way? I wanna kill her, but instead I pay my rent. I wanna poison her dirty boyfriend. I wonder where my courage went. I'm not a criminal, and so I willingly keep these evil thoughts at bay. I feel locked in, she locks me out. I just wanna run away. Tell me it's not permanent, this temporary hell. I need to text my therapist, but he's sleeping so well. This may be too raw for me, so I'll save it for another day. Endless anxiety, could there be any other way? On the couch, can't take much more of this. Let's just call it quits. I'll leave you to your misery as you stare so vacantly, watching reality on the TV. Tell me it's not permanent, this temporary hell. my therapist, but he's sleeping so well. This may be too raw for me, so I'll save it for another day. Endless anxiety. Could there be any other way? You tell me it's not permanent, this temporary hell. I need to text my therapist, but he's sleeping so well. Wake up! This may be too raw for me, so I'll save it for another day. Endless anxiety. Could there be any other way?
You spent 20 years institutionalized. How did you see yourself then, and how do you see yourself now, 5 years down the road?
5 years free? Well, I saw myself then as somebody who was stuck in a really bad situation, but wasn't going to let it get the best of me. So I painted furiously. I wrote constantly. When I finally got a hold of a guitar, I started writing songs, and I just kept busy and built a body of work, writing, music, and paintings. I just wasn't going to let it get the best of me. I was surrounded by inertia and apathy, and not only from the patients, but from the staff, from the entire environment. It was just like a very negative environment. It's not a very good place. Jails and institutions, as you know, or as you should know. So I was surrounded by this malaise and this overall feeling of something that I didn't feel akin to. You know, I still believed that I went in there to get help, and when I realized that it wasn't forthcoming, I took it upon myself to help myself, if in no other way than constantly creating things and looking at it 6 months later or a year later, trying to figure out, wow, what was I thinking? Oh, wow, I remember. Yeah, okay. Or listening to a song and hearing how I'm feeling in the songs I'm writing, or rereading passages of things I wrote months or weeks previous, and figuring it out from there. Learning to kind of do my own art and music and literary therapy on myself, because the therapy that I was trying to get from these people wasn't forthcoming. Not good therapy, and it was actually quite toxic at sometimes. So that's how I saw myself then. How I see myself now is someone who's just carrying that mantle. There was a guy who spent 20 years doing all that stuff, and that guy now has passed the mantle to me, and just happens to be the same guy. So now that I have legs to run with these things, I'm going to run with them. And I may have to pass this mantle on after these 5 years are up, or whenever I get free from this particular order of conditions. I will pass the mantle on to the next guy,
Who will probably be you.
Who will probably be me, who will then take it to where he needs to take it. And that's kind of and that's my job. That's my job.